Prune, 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 prune. Which one's this? Prune. Ah! Let's go!
Looks like no interference from.
Okay, so Nicole just dropped. And my one question is, does she save Varka? Let's find out. Alright, so this first team is just Varka's team before Prune and Nicole, right? So it's Sucrose and Bennett. Sucrose is on VV, on Fav, and Bennett's just on Noblesse, normal Bennett build, and Sapwood. And my Varka is C2R1, by the way, so yeah. I mean, they're in the C0R0, and yeah, it's just a team. As you can see, this DPS is kind of, not kinda, it's bad, bro. It's just C2R1 Varka. The gameplay is kind of ass too. I'm missing Sucrose's burst sometimes. Well, I just goes to show how Sucrose is clunky. And half the time, her burst won't even fuse with Pyro. It's so weird. I think the most I could get is like 140k DPS with this team, with 18-second rotations. But yeah, team kind of buns. Alright, so this team is replace Sucrose with Prune. This is C2 Prune on Skyward Alice? Yeah, C2 Prune on Skyward Alice. And this replacement with Prune, this makes the DPS more consistent, right? It goes up from 140 to around 160, 170, 165 to 170. This is better, right? So Prune is like Prune by herself, and Skyward Alice, but Prune by herself is like a 30k DPS increase over Sucrose. Kinda nice. The C2 Prune, by the way. C2 Prune. C6 Prune, probably even higher, probably like another 10k, another 15k on top of this. So Prune's like a 30k DPS increase, and that's pretty nice. Alright, so this team is with Nicole, right? C0R1 Nicole, level 6 talents, and she's on Thrilling Tales. Alright, so let's see the DPS for this one, and it's about 170, 160, basically like similar to Bennett. Alright, similar to using Bennett.
I live within you.
Kind of funny, yeah. So C0R1 Nicole, I mean C0R0 Nicole with them tails is basically equal to Bennett, right?
I think not. I live within you.
But this is not max talents, but he's about equal to Bennett here. Yeah. But she adds a shield, and she generates more particles than Bennett. So it's C0R0 5-star being equal to C6 4-star. I think that's about right. That's about right. That's about right. So this team is Nicole, C0R0 Nicole on Thrilling Tales, but this time she's using the new artifact set. So last time was with Noblesse on Nicole. This time it's with the new artifact set that gives 40% damage bonus. And with the new artifact set, she's actually quite a bit ahead of Bennett here. She's around 20k to 30k above Bennett at this point. Yeah, we're just like barely getting to 200k DPS. Alright, we're just like sitting at around 195, 199 is the highest, right? So around 195k DPS compared to 170k DPS
I think not.
and 165k DPS before. So that new set is a real, it's a huge improvement, right? So Nicole new set about 30 to 40k DPS higher than Bennett's. Yeah. And this right here is, I mean, C0R1 Nicole on the new set.
Heaven's will made my
Right, so with the set, with Throwing Tails, we were getting around 199k, 195k. With her Sig, we're getting 20k more. So her Sig is like a 10% improvement
such defiance.
on the overall team DPS over Throwing Tails. Right, so we're getting to like 120k DPS. But keep in mind, this is with level 6 talents. And level 6, so this is with level 6 talents.
Think not. I live
And C2 Prune. So if you're lucky enough to get C6 Prune, probably get another 10k on top of this. Probably sitting around like 230, 240k, and with max talents, around 250k DPS with C2R1 Varka. At least that's what I'm thinking, right? So yeah, C6 Prune and C0R1 Nicole is basically about like a 70% increase into overall team damage, because like what were I using before? I was using Sucrose and Bennett, right? I was using Sucrose and Bennett, and we were at about at 140k DPS, and now with Prune and Nicole we're at 220, 230, around that mark, right? That's basically like a 90k DPS increase. If I do the math, if I do the math real quick, let me get my calculator out. 140 divided by 90. Yeah, that's like a 50. That's a 60% increase. 60% DPS increase. Yeah, that's a 60% DPS increase. But that is for 2 costs, bro. So you go from for 2 costs in an artifact set and the C2 Prune, you get 60% more DPS. Which I'm pretty satisfied, because right now this puts Varka, my C2R1 Varka, in like the same DPS range as my C2R1 Varka, typically at the same cost, right? So my C2 Varka melt team, right, with Shalon, Bennett, and Salali, my Salali has R1, so the exact same setup as Varka, and my C2 Varka gets like 230k DPS, like 250k if like I'm like really locked in and like don't miss a single melt, or and crits every single hit, right? And I like super good on rotations. Hovers around like 220 to 230k DPS on my Varka team. So that's really good. That Varka, Unga Boonga Varka, when he's just like, you just M1, keep M1ing until you get your skill, and the combos don't really matter. All that really matters is how fast you do the rotation. It's like his combos don't really matter at like C2R1 at that point. So you get this Unga Boonga with Varka, and you're getting already 200. You're getting like Varka level DPS. Nicole, yeah. All right, so based on these numbers, and based on what we're seeing, I think Nicole saved my Varka. Like Nicole, she did her job. She saved the Varka. So yeah, if you're thinking about pulling Nicole, I say go for it. If you have Durin already, there's no reason not to get Nicole. If you have Nicole and thinking about getting Durin, there's no reason not to get Durin too. Like then they go hand in hand. They're really good, really good core, and I think a lot of characters benefit them.
Shred him!